Happy Halloween! On the show today, we'll review Autumn Victory in Ryogoku, where we saw the winner of the Next Gen tournament. We'll preview Autumn Victory in Shinjuku Volume 2, coming up this weekend. We also have the full card announced for All Rise 2-5. Shoko Nakajima spent some time wrestling in Mexico. And is TJPW coming back to America? All that and more coming up on the Tokyo Joshi Pod. Stay tuned! Hello to all you big children out there. Konnichiwa! And welcome to the Tokyo Joshi Pod, your weekly dose of everything TJPW. I'm your host Andy Zyke, and we've got a lot to chat about on the show this week. In addition to reviewing the Ryogoku show, where we had a new champion, and the Next Gen tournament winner was crowned, as well as they announced their challenge for which belt they'll be challenging for, we're also going to preview the Shinjuku Volume 2 show, which will see J-Rod's Japan debut. We have the full card that's been announced for All Rise. We got news about the upcoming Malaysia show. We got the schedule for the Futariwa Tag Team Tournament. The CMLL Women's Grand Prix took place, which had Shoko Nakajima competing in it. And if all of that wasn't enough, we may just have an announcement for an America show. We're going to dive into all of that coming up on the show today, but first I want to say happy Halloween to you all. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope you're celebrating this holiday however you really like to, whether that's with your family, your friends, going to a party, dressing up in a costume, doing some trick-or-treating, maybe watching a scary movie. However you like to celebrate Halloween, it's a personal favorite holiday of mine. I will be dressing up as Hyper Misao this year. Absolutely kidding. I won't be doing that. I'll actually be dressing up as Yuki Kamifuku instead. Um, all that's neither here nor there. I won't be dressing up as any of the TJPW girls this year. Maybe next year. We'll see how it goes. Let's jump into some of the news and announcements that we got this week. Earlier in the week, TJPW announced the full card for All Rise 2-5 coming up on Sunday, the 9th of November from Corcoran Hall. This is our next upcoming Corcoran show. I'll run down the card briefly. We'll do a full preview of this next week as we get a little bit closer to the 9th, but we'll see quite the card here. We have a four-way tag team match, so 2v2, v2, v2. That's going to be wild. The teams competing in this four-way tag match are Mizuki and Suzume, Miyu Yamashita and Kaya Toribami, Yuki Aino and Haru Kazushiro, and then Raku and Pam Harajuku. We'll also see an 8-woman tag team match, so 4 versus 4, Rika Tatsumi, Kira Summer, Chika Nanase, and Ren Kanatsu taking on the team of Hyper Misao, Mihiro Kiryu, Mifu Ishida, and making her return to TJPW, Kakeru Sakaguchi. So excited to see her come back as well. Obviously, there would be a little bit of shenanigans with her and Mihiro being on the same team. A lot of people say that they look alike, and they always do some sort of fun, like confusion spot with the team members not knowing who is who between Mihiro and Kakeru. We'll also have the previously announced tag team match with Hiroyo Matsumoto and Yuki Arai taking on Hotshot, Toga, and Yuna Manase. And then we'll have 4 title matches also previously announced. The MLW Featherweight title, Shoko Nakajima defending against Viva Vean. The International Princess title, actually I stand corrected, that was not previously announced. That was just announced after the show we're going to talk about today. So a little bit of a spoiler alert there. The International Princess title, Arisu Endo, will defend against Uda Takami, the winner of the Next Gen tournament. We're going to dive into that match. That was a really good one. I'm really excited to talk about that. We have the Princess Tag Team titles on the line. Uber Eats defending against Shino Suzuki and Himawari, who have come up with their team name, and we'll dive into that later on as well. And then finally, the Princess of Princess title being defended, Miyu Watanabe taking on the Ultimate Athlete J-Rod. J-Rod actually arrived in Japan just the other day. TJPW sent out a little bit of a message from J-Rod as she's getting ready to take on Miyu Watanabe in this title challenge. As I mentioned, we'll do a full breakdown of this next week. We'll talk about my picks. We'll go through each and every match in detail on next week's show. There's also going to be a meet and greet after this show, given it is a Gorkwin Hall show. TJPW typically does meet and greets afterwards. You can get the like the 8x10 photographs signed. You can get two shots, pictures taken. And then for this one, they're also doing checky shots as well. The little like instant photos. They call them checkies. So that's kind of cool. You can get a two-shot as a checkie as well for this event. In other news, the schedule has been announced for the 6th annual Futariwa Princess Max Heart Tournament. This will kick off on January 17th, so TJPW is well out ahead of this one. It'll be a 4-day tournament, January 17th, January 25th, January 31st, and then the finale will culminate on Valentine's Day, February 14th. This is TJPW's tag team tournament that takes place every year. It is typically a single elimination tournament. They usually have around 8 or so teams that take place. The winners usually go on to challenge for the Princess Tag Team titles, which most of the time will happen at Grand Princess in March. For those of you that are a little bit newer to TJPW, this is a tournament that has both English and Japanese in the name. Futariwa literally translates to something like the two of us or we are two. It is a phrase that signifies a pair or a duo. So perfect for the title of a tag team tournament. If you were to literally translate this tournament name, it would essentially come out to the two of us are princesses Max Heart tournament. So leaning into the princess theming, leaning into the essence of a tag team and a duo. A lot of times in these tag team tournaments, we do see established tag teams, but we also see a few random competitors thrown together that maybe are gen mates or maybe they've wanted to team together. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a team like Miyu Yamashita and Kaya Toribami, who have been tagging together quite a bit of late, enter into a tournament like this. Really excited to see who gets announced for this. There's always usually maybe a foreigner or two as well, so looking forward to the team announcements. I imagine we won't get those for maybe at least another month or so. It is only the end of October, and this won't be beginning until the middle of January, so we'll keep our eyes here, but this is always a fun tournament. Really looking forward to this one in 2026. It's a little bit of a lighter news week, so I also wanted to spend some time talking about the TJPW YouTube channel. I don't know if many of you follow the TJPW YouTube channel. I will admit a lot of what they post is in Japanese, and they typically don't subtitle it, so you have to use the YouTube like auto subtitle function, which is not always the best, but it'll get the job done. But anyway, I wanted to highlight some of the videos that have been posted of late because there's quite the variety of content. Typically, TJPW will post digests for some of their bigger shows. There's one up there for Additional Attack in Corcoran, for example. But they're also doing a variety of different types of short form content. So the first thing they have up is a behind the scenes of the Uber Eats interview that was conducted with Weekly Pro Wrestling. I haven't had a chance to read that interview in Weekly Pro Wrestling, so I'm not sure if there's anything different in this, but essentially it shows them Uber Eats at the restaurant eating the enormous amounts of food that they ordered, and then just having a little bit of a chat with the reporter about some of the questions he had for their tag team coming off of their Princess Tag title win at Wrestle Princess 6. Wakana, of course, very, very happy to be eating all of this food. Yuki was just kind of there, just kind of, I guess, basking in Wakana's happiness. The one thing that I really took away from this video, it's only about 10 minutes, was that they talked about their team name and where that came from and some other ideas for their team name. So Uber Eats, as you can imagine, comes from Uber Eats, which is the very popular delivery service. Kamiyu said that was exactly why they chose it, because Uber Eats was so popular and trendy. They wanted to lean into something that was very familiar. Also because Wakana eats a lot, that was another part of why they chose the name Uber Eats. They did say that their team name was almost Delicious Gals, but then they decided to go for something a little bit more trendy with Uber Eats. Delicious Gals is kind of fun. I wouldn't hate that, but maybe if you Google that, you get some questionable search results. I'm not sure. But an interesting interview up on the TJPW YouTube channel for you to check out. There was also a fun video posted just today, Thursday, in prep for the Malaysia show that's upcoming in a couple of weeks. The Up Up girls got together to teach KLP 48's Yamane Suzuha how to perform some of their singing and dancing in the ring. KLP48 is a Malaysian-based idol group, but they will be partnering with the Up Up Girls on this Love and Peace show taking place in November. So in order to prepare for that, the Up Up Girls got together and they were like, hey, let's help out some of these other idols who don't necessarily perform in a wrestling ring. And as you watched Yamane perform in the ring, or at least practice performing in the ring, you could really tell that there is quite a difference performing, singing, and dancing on a stage compared to a wrestling ring. Not something that I myself necessarily think about. I don't know if any of you listeners out there would think about it. I'm not too versed in Japanese idol culture, I will admit that. But I guess it does make a lot of sense. The wrestling ring being a lot more bouncy, constructed a little bit differently. There's ropes, right? There's boards under the mat. The mat might be a little bit more slick than, say, a stage. So it's an interesting thing that I didn't think about going into this, but it's a neat little video. Basically, the Up Up Girls teach Yamane how to perform in the ring. Miyu gives her a lot of practical advice. Yamane actually gave the Up Up Girls some advice about traveling to Malaysia, and her biggest piece of advice was that not all of the restrooms have toilet tissue or toilet paper in it, which is kind of funny. It's a little bit more not vulgar, but a little bit more blunt than maybe Japanese culture would speak about. And Miyu was very quick to jump in and say, "Well, don't worry, we're idols. We don't use the restroom, but we'll still bring tissues anyway," which I thought was kind of funny. But also something that was interesting was that Yamane said that she would like to try wrestling at some point, at least once in her life. And Shinjiro Takagi was there, and Takagi said that he will hold her to it. He's got it on the record. It's on video. They've also announced TJPW that they will be doing hospitality or travel packages as well for this. So if you do live in Japan and you want to take a trip over to Malaysia, you can book a travel experience, which includes, I believe, room and board and airfare. And they said there were some events or maybe like a dinner or something like that. So that's kind of neat to see. I know we get things like that quite often in America for different events like the Super Bowl or WrestleMania or whatever, but it's cool to see TJPW do that as well for their Malaysia show. There's also what's quickly becoming a series that gets posted to the TJPW channel. They have this camera that they set up backstage, which has some prompts on it. And the first video they filmed was at Wrestle Princess 6. So you got to see a lot of the wrestlers go up to this camera, interact with each other, answering questions, and just kind of giving some honest thoughts. Some of them do remain in character and they do talk about their match, maybe the match that they had, the championship they won, etc. Some of them are a little bit more out of character, so if you do like to see a little bit more of the human side of the wrestlers, get a better feel for their personality, these videos are kind of interesting, of course, in Japanese, but they have one for Wrestle Princess 6. They also just did one for Additional Attack as well, so I wonder if this will be somewhat of a series that we start to see on the channel. And then the last thing I want to highlight, not necessarily on YouTube, but something that I had a lot of fun watching, the TJPW sponsor Query, which is essentially like Cameo is the best way to describe it. You can kind of get a customized video or a personalized video from the TJPW girls. There's a host of others on there as well. I think the Actress girls are a part of it, some idol groups. I just saw they had some VTubers on there as well. But for the TJPW girls, they're also doing like a not scripted content, but they're doing like more professionally produced content series. They did an English challenge series, which was very funny. Kira Summer tried to guess what what a few of the wrestlers were pantomiming and almost like a game of charades, but they could only speak in English. So that was a lot of fun. And then they just put up quite a long video, I think it was like 15 minutes, where Kira introduced some Australian snacks, including Vegemite, to some of the wrestlers as well. And the wrestlers that are participating in this are Kira Summer, Arisu, Himawari, and then Sayuri Namba. So this must have been filmed quite a while ago, maybe over the summer, but it's nice to see Sayuri interacting with some of the TJPW girls once again, even if it is something that we won't be seeing moving forward. And I should mention that the Query app is free to download. You don't have to pay for anything. You don't have to pay for like a customized query in order to watch this content. You do need to make an account when you download the app, but those videos are free to watch. You just have to watch them on the Query app. They also post some clips on social media as well, but if you do want to see the full video, download the Query app. And then in our last bit of news, which might actually be our biggest piece of news, but I didn't want to lead with it. I don't know if it is 100% confirmed yet. We have very, very, very few details, but there are some rumblings that TJPW will be heading back to Texas once again in the spring of 2026. This comes from an Instagram reel that was posted by the Tokyo Story USA Chief Operating Officer. Tokyo Story USA was the company that helped put those shows on in Dallas. They helped bring a lot of the girls over and promote them. Dallas and Houston, I believe, was the other one. But anyway, this Tokyo Story USA COO, his name is Nicholas Tan, put out a video that was promoting the upcoming Wrestling in the Bookstore event that TJPW will be holding in Japan. And just really briefly, he just kind of dropped in there that they will be returning to Texas in the spring of 2026. He didn't say anything else. He didn't give dates. He didn't give months. He didn't give talent. Nothing like that. Didn't give cities even. All he said was TJPW will return to Texas in the spring of 2026, and then began talking about the upcoming show, Picture Book Reading Pro Wrestling, taking place in Japan. So I don't think this is nothing. I do think, given that he works for the company, that there's something here. But again, very few details right at present. But we will be able to see TJPW returning to America in the spring of 2026. Interesting that he mentioned spring 2026. Last year's shows were more, I think, in June, early summer. So we'll be curious to see what lies with the collective and April around WrestleMania week. TJPW was tagged in the collective announcements, the tweets that were sent out. They were tagged in there along with DDT. They are typical partners for the collective, so we're well ahead of the game here, right? It's only October. We have about 6 months to go before we get to any of this. I'm sure we'll get plenty of announcements, plenty of news in the coming days, but the key takeaway here is that there are rumblings both on the collective side and in the more Texas-based side, the Tokyo Story side, that TJPW does have plans to return to America in 2026. So we'll keep eyes on this as more details come out. And with the news out of the way, let's jump into our event review of the week, TJPW Autumn Victory in Ryogoku. The Autumn Victory Tour still in full effect. There's still going to be, I think, one or two more from the Autumn Victory series. This one here in Ryogoku took place on Sunday, the 26th of October from the Ryogoku KFC Hall in Tokyo. It did air live on Wrestle Universe. It's only about a 2-hour show. This took place notably on the same day, not too far away from the large Marigold show that took place, the big pay-per-view that had Mayu Iwatani taking on Io Sky. I'm curious how many people attended this show earlier in the afternoon and then took the short walk over to Ryogoku Kokugikan to see that show in full. From what I hear, that show was wonderful. I did watch it. I knew a few folks that were in attendance. They said it was a great show. This isn't a Marigold podcast, but I do want to give credit where credit is due. Wonderful show from Marigold. Go check that one out. Happens to also be on Wrestle Universe. They're a part of the Wrestle Universe family as well. For the TJPW Autumn Victory and Ryogoku show, we had 282 folks in attendance. Quite a loud crowd. The camera was positioned a little bit farther back, so you could really hear the crowd chanting and clapping and cheering. There were a few folks that were seated right by the camera who were quite loud themselves. But it was really nice to see the crowd get so into it for all 282 of them that were in attendance. The last time that TJPW was just back in June of 2025 for their spring tour, where they brought in 365 attendance. So a little bit 80 or so less in this go around. But still nice to see the crowd be very vocal. The 282 that were there were really, really into this show. That attendance drop off could also have something to do with the fact that that Marigold show was taking place in a few hours after this show, not too far away, so there were some other factors at play that may be contributing to that decreased attendance. The only absent competitor from TJPW was Shoko Nakajima, who was wrestling in Mexico at the time. We'll talk about some of her excursion into Mexico later on in the show. Other interesting point though, this was the first event that TJPW ran with all female referees. This wasn't announced beforehand. I don't know if there was a reason for doing this, if other referees were booked maybe with other shows, or if it was just something they wanted to try. But the first event with all female referees, we had Fumarin, of course, and then we also had Yoko Chihana, who is typically a referee for JTO, I believe, Yoko Chihana. And they just kind of alternated, tag teamed, if you will, no pun intended, the entire event, subbing in and out. We opened up with Rise Shirai giving her remarks and the house rules. No major news to announce from this show. The Up Up girls came out and they sang Love You More. Love You More seems to be the song of choice. We've heard it quite often on the recent shows. I'm not sure what happened to Kawatsuyo Challenger and why they haven't been singing that a little bit more after they debuted it. We also haven't heard some of the staples like Upper Kick in a while. We'll see what we get on the upcoming shows. Maybe at Corcoran Hall we'll get either something new or maybe Upper Kick again. We'll have to keep our eyes out. But Love You More seems to be the song that they're promoting quite a bit. If you follow any of the Up Up girls on social media, a lot of the videos they put out are also promoting the Love You More song. So that seems to be the hot ticket right now. The first match of the afternoon, a singles match between Ren Kanatsu and Arisu Endo. Fairly simple match overall. Arisu was in control for the majority of it, as you might imagine. What stood out here is that this was almost like a level up trial match for Ren in a way. We saw those level up trial matches at the last Korakuen Hall show. Ren did not participate in one of them, but it kind of had that feel here watching this take place. Ren looked quite good in defeat overall, especially going up against a more seasoned competitor, a champion in Arisu. Ren seemed to come out pretty good. Ultimately, though, Ren does tap out to the camel clutch at 7 minutes and 53 seconds, giving Arisu the victory. The next contest was a tag team match, the team of Rika Tatsumi and your Ironman Heavy Metalweight champion Mihiro Kiryu, taking on the team of Raku and Hyper Misao. And because Mihiro is currently the Ironman Heavy Metalweight champion, the title is on the line if she does happen to get pinned. Given some of the competitors in this match by name alone, you can imagine there was quite the shenanigans that took place. Misao started out with her pre-match mic performance, and she and Raku decided to set up an ambush for that Iron Man title. So what ends up happening, Raku and Misao go sneak and wait by the entrance tunnel. However, Rika and Mihiro actually come out from the audience entrance into the arena. It's almost as if they knew that Misao would be up to no good. So Rika and Mihiro come out from a different entrance in a really funny moment. Rika is protecting Mihiro from anyone and everyone so that she doesn't get rolled up, and that includes the audience. She was like boxing her out from the people in the front row, which I thought was a funny touch. This match starts right from the rip with the Oyasumi Express from Raku and Misao, but that does lead right into our apology spot where Mihiro apologizes for being on a winning streak of late. So go Mihiro, get your stripes. The majority of this match is Raku and Misao attempting to roll up Mihiro both in and out of the ring. Rika is really upset with this. She wants to defend her tag team partner. She ends up choking the two of them outside, but then turns on Mihiro and pins her herself. So Rika Tatsumi becomes your DDT Ironman Heavy Metalweight champion, the 1779th champion. The match continues though because of course they are on the same team. So after Rika wins the championship, she really barely continues in the match for her team. She leaves Mihiro out to dry a lot of times. Her and Mihiro end up having a little bit of miscommunication later on. Ultimately, what ends up happening at the end, Raku pins Mihiro with the Hurricane Turn at 10 minutes and 51 seconds. Unfortunately, Raku, just a hair too late, does not win that Iron Man title given Rika just pinned Mihiro previously. But what's really interesting is that we have a win for Raku. Raku doesn't get very many wins, so interesting to see Raku pick up a win, especially over a competitor who was featured so prominently of late in Mihiro. After the match, everyone approaches Rika, obviously trying to go for that DDT Iron Man belt. Rika tries to swing the belt, kind of hits them all backwards, and then ends up running away. Backstage in her comments, Rika laughed at Mihiro, said that she wants to hold the title until the December Ocha Pro show. She wants to then gift the belt to one of her favorite idols who sings for Ocha Norma, but that she won't have any matches until then. She won't accept any challenges. She'll just run away. So quite some interesting remarks. It seems that Rika had the ultimate plan here to take this belt from Mihiro, even one-upping Misao's plan. So we'll see where this goes. A little bit disappointing that Mihiro is no longer the Iron Man champion. You best believe I don't think this is the final time that she will hold this belt, or at least attempt to get the belt. I do love, though, that DDT is allowing this belt to remain in TJPW. It just seems like a really, really good fit for the roster, for their capabilities as both comedians and wrestlers. So I'm really happy that this belt is sticking around for a little bit, and I do hope it continues into that December show. I hope that we get some vignettes and some backstage segments on social media. That has been a blast to follow along with and cover. So fingers crossed the DDT title sticks around in TJPW a little bit longer. The next contest, another tag team match, the team of Miyu Yamashita and Kaya Toribami took on the team of Pam Harajuku and Suzume. And this was where TJPW decided to celebrate Halloween. So Suzume and Pam come out with some Halloween baskets. They wore Halloween themed headbands. They started off the match with, instead of handshakes, they decided to trick or treat, but Miyu Yamashita had no candy for them, and they were really, really upset by this. So what they did was they threw Kaya Toribami outside of the ring. They had a ghost Halloween costume at the ready. They threw it over Yamashita, taped her feet together so that she could not remove the costume, and then proceeded to just beat the crap out of her wearing this Halloween ghost costume. Palm, mostly in control to start the match on Miyu, even hit her with a stink face. At one point, Palm asks Fumarin for some candy, who obviously doesn't have any. She's refereeing the match. Miyu eventually says, "This is enough of this." She's able to muscle out of the ghost costume, really stick it to Palm, and get a little bit of revenge. We do also get a really nice exchange between Suzume and Kaya Toribami later in the match. That would be an interesting singles match to see sometime down the line. Miyu eventually gets even more revenge on Palm, just absolutely obliterates her. That leads to the finish where Miyu pins Palm with an attitude adjustment at 10 minutes and 26 seconds. And after this match, Kaya and Yamashita end up stealing the Halloween baskets and bringing them back into the backstage area. So maybe they'll do some trick or treating on their own instead of purchasing their own baskets. Who knows? Very fun match, very fun little Halloween match. TJPW has been leaning into Halloween a little bit with some of the promotional materials that they've been putting out, some of the merchandise, so it's fun to see it carry over into one of the shows too. We then had a singles match between Mizuki and Toga. And Black Gear, Mizuki is back. Mizuki busted out the black gear once again that she debuted at Korakuen just a few weeks ago. Mizuki quickly got out on the offensive in this match, almost toying with Toga, threw her to the outside, refused to follow. She ended up biting her at one point, so Goblin Mizuki was really out here in full effect. This is also almost like a level up match in a little bit of a way. Toga had a few brief flashes of offense, but for the most part, Mizuki was in control, ended up winning with a diving foot stomp at 8 minutes and 5 seconds. Following this match, we had the finals of the Next Gen tournament, Uda Takami taking on Chika Nanase. And now if you are following along here, Uda must lose twice. She's only lost once up to this point, whereas Chika only needs to lose once. So we got handshakes to start. Uda took some of the initial control, ended up working over the arm, trying to get that koala clutch locked in. She does eventually slap it on. Chika's able to make it to the ropes and then take control of the match in her own right. A lot of elbows from Chika, an elbow drop. Uda ended up just squeaking so loudly throughout all of this match. That was the majority of what you heard was just Uda squeaking and screaming. So a very typical Uda match, I suppose. Chika ultimately wins with multiple elbow bats at 6 minutes and 59 seconds. So that means we must run this back right away, as Uda has now lost one match, and we are in almost like a sudden death. The next match, the next winner will win the Next Gen tournament. There is a very brief reset for some water, catch your breath. Uda comes out of the gate super hot. Chika tries to counter with more of her elbow bats, but ultimately, Uda wins with the koala clutch at 2 minutes and 58 seconds. After both of these matches, Uda is absolutely sobbing. You'd think that she lost the tournament the way that she was sobbing. Chika, in a show of great sportsmanship, raises her hand in support. They hug each other. Uda gets this really nice medal that could easily weigh her down. It has to be so heavy for her. I can't imagine Uda weighs all that much. She ends up getting on the microphone, and between all of the sobs and the squeaks, she calls out Arisu Endo and challenges for the International Princess title on the November 9th All Rise show in Korakuen Hall. I will take my victory lap. I did predict that Uda would be winning this tournament. I don't think I committed to the International Princess title challenge, but I know I definitely thought about it a little bit, so I'm going to take my victory lap. Regardless, really, really excited to see that match coming up. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. I was really surprised, though, that both of these matches combined only got about 10 minutes in total, especially for a tournament final. And now I know this isn't the major tournament for TJPW. In fact, it's probably like third on the pecking order of their three tournaments. But that being said, it's still a big deal. It's still a tournament final. I don't have too much of an issue of where it was placed on the card. I don't think this should be in the main event or anything like that, but certainly thought it would get more than 10 minutes. It was actually both of these matches were the shortest matches on this entire show. It almost feels like they could have taken the other two singles matches that we saw and combined them into a tag team match to give this, I don't know, maybe 3 to 5 more minutes would have been interesting. I did like what we got, but would have liked to see a little bit more given the stakes of this. And then backstage, we did have some comments. Uda mentioned that she was very happy to win the tournament, but that she is not yet satisfied. She decided that she was challenging Arisu because she looks up to Arisu. They are the same height, and it's a wrestler who is a little bit on the shorter side who has achieved a lot of success. And Uda looks up to her, whereas, say, like the Miyu Watanabes of the world, while Miyu is the person who got her into wrestling, it's hard to see herself in Miyu since Miyu is a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger. So she looks up to these smaller competitors like Arisu and Shoko Nakajima. So that is why she chose Arisu for her title challenge. Chika also gave some comments. She was very frustrated in the loss, but she did feel as if she leveled up. She did use that wording, so that's wording that seems to be kind of percolating throughout TJPW at the moment, leveling up. Arisu actually also gave some comments. She's really looking forward to seeing this version of Uda in the ring, but cocky as ever, she thinks that she can still beat her as is. So she's almost challenging her, Uta to level up even more. I'll steal that phrasing. Level up even more prior to their Korakuen showdown on November 9th. In our semifinal of the afternoon, we had a tag team match, Miyu Watanabe and Yuki Aino teaming together after facing each other just not long ago, taking on the team of Mifu Ishida and Yuki Arai. Arai and Watanabe start us out. Mifu Ishida comes in and actually gives Yuki Aino a bit of a birthday chant, so that was nice to see. We also saw that the other week for Miyu Watanabe's birthday as well. That doesn't lead anywhere though. She proceeds to just get her butt kicked by Miyu and Yuki Aino. There were a few nice pairings in this match, in particular Yuki Aino and Yuki Arai, and then also Miyu and Arai as well were an interesting pairing to see. This match though ends with Aino submitting Mifu with the full Nelson of Love and Fire at 12 minutes and 8 seconds. And in our main event, we had a 6-woman tag team match, Uber Eats teaming with Kira Summer, taking on Shino Suzuki, Himawari, and Haru Kazushiro. This is the second preview tag team match for the Princess Tag titles, although I will say that the first preview match, neither one of the teams factored into the finish. So this is almost like the de facto first preview match. Shino opted to start out for her team, but Uber Eats didn't want to start the match. They sent Kira out there. Kira gets the turnbuckle tour guide spot almost right from the rip. Kamiyu ends up getting in there, putting Shino right back in her place with a few eye pokes, a few eye rakes, a lot of kicks to the face. We do get a little bit of Kira Summer and Haru Kazushiro facing off against each other. That's followed by Himawari and Kamiyu. Shino in this match showed a heck of a lot of fire, especially when she was in there against Kamifuku and Wakana. Shino has really prepared herself for this tag team match. There's been a lot of fire from Shino. She had the level up match against Yamashita. She had the match where she won and then challenged with Himawari for the tag titles. So Shino is definitely on a roll. I'm really excited to see what this tag team match, this Princess Tag title, easy for me to say, Princess Tag title championship match has in store. While I don't think that Himawari and Shino will win the belts, I do think this is going to be a great opportunity for them to show just how far along they've come, especially using someone like Wakana as a measuring stick who won that title in a similar way that Toga did with her challenge. Things break down again in this match. It is a 6-woman tag after all. We get the final pairing of Himawari and Kira, where Himawari ends up pinning Kira after the Sunflower Tempest, that's her jackhammer style maneuver, at 13 minutes and 18 seconds. After the match, Ober Eats and Himawari and Shino have a bit of a stare down with the belts. Himawari and Shino close out the show getting on the microphone. They vow to win the belts at All Rise, and they announce their tag team name, Bumping Gritters. Very interesting tag team name. Gritters is actually stylized with a lowercase g and an uppercase R. Bumping Gritters. Backstage, they gave some comments on where this name came from. They said they developed the name to mean, and I'm quoting here, small stones that collide head on, and that it's almost as if it's a combination of grit and glitter. So they want to crash forward like stones and then shine. Very specific, very niche, bumping gritters. I don't know how I feel about that name. It doesn't quite roll off the tongue, but we'll see. I do really enjoy watching Himawari. I do really enjoy what I'm seeing from Shina Suzuki of late, so I do think this will be a good match. Bumping Gritters. Maybe they could have picked a different team name, but you know what? If that's what they like, so be it. Uber Eats also gave a little bit of comments afterwards as well. Kamiyu continued to call them the loser long hairs. Actually, I think last week she called them the plain long hairs. So this week they are the loser long hairs. She also called them pumpkin pudding. I don't know why. Maybe because it's the season of pumpkin spice or something. Or maybe just because they're the flavor of the month, if you will. But pumpkin pudding. So we got quite the few names. I do kind of like the plain long hairs. I thought that was kind of funny. Loser long hairs, a little bit harsh. Pumpkin pudding doesn't make much sense, but it's funny to hear them say the words pumpkin pudding. But plain long hairs, bumping gritters, I don't know. Roll the dice, pick what name you want. But this tag team match for the Princess Tag titles is coming together quite nicely. A solid show overall. Some definitely some newsworthy items to come out of this with the tournament final, the challenge for the IP title, and then the ramp up to the Princess Tag title defense as well. We do have a show coming up this weekend, TJPW Autumn Victory in Shinjuku Volume 2, that will take place on Saturday, November 1st from the Shinjuku Face in Tokyo. This will be live on Wrestle Universe. TJPW also announced that it's going to be streaming on YouTube as well, so it'll be a completely free show. If you don't pay for Wrestle Universe, you'll be able to watch this on YouTube, but you will have to watch it live on YouTube. There will be no video on demand on YouTube, only on Wrestle Universe. The other thing I will say is that this is an evening show in Japan, which is quite rare, at least of late, for TJPW, so this will be overnight for us here in the States. Pacific time, I think it's about 1 in the morning, so maybe like 4 in the morning Eastern, somewhere in there. So if you do want to watch this live, you will have to have a little bit of a late Friday night or an early Saturday morning, I guess. Surprisingly, there are no absences for this show. Everyone will be back from Excursion in Japan and wrestling on this show, except of course for Moka Miyamoto. We still do not have an update on Moka Miyamoto and what condition or what injury that she's dealing with. All the best to Moka, wishing her a speedy recovery. I do hope we hear something soon. It's been quite a while. It's been since right after Summer Sun Princess. So we're talking about almost 4 or 5 months now since we haven't heard anything about Mocha. So fingers crossed for Mocha. I hope all is well. Hopefully we'll hear some updates soon. But besides Mocha, everyone will be wrestling from the roster on this Shinjuku show. It will be a 7-match card. The matches here in no particular order. I don't believe that this will be the final match order, but we will have a title defense. The Iron Man Heavy Metalweight title will be defended here. Rika Tatsumi, the current champion, will be defending in a singles match against Pam Harajuku. That'll be interesting. That's going to be a rematch of what we saw at Wrestle Princess 6 with their, I forget what they called it, their death match with the toys that Rika actually lost. So maybe this will be a chance for Rika to get some revenge, or maybe we'll see Pam become the Iron Man Heavy Metalweight champion. That would be quite a trip. That would be really interesting to see. Who knows? Maybe we'll see Mahiro get involved here. I think the world is our oyster when it comes to the Iron Man title anymore, but singles match for the Iron Man title, Rika against Pam. We have 2 other singles matches as well. Mihiro Kiryu taking on Chika Nanase, and then Kira Summer will be taking on J-Rod, who will be making her debut in Japan. J-Rod, as we mentioned, just recently landed in Japan earlier this week. There's a video out there where she is talking about the roster, ready to have her title challenge against Miyu Watanabe. She'll get a bit of a warm-up match here against Kira Summer. I would expect that she wins just to get some momentum behind her coming into the country for the first time, into the promotion for the first time. Want to build her up as a formidable challenger for Miyu. She is a lot bigger than Miyu. This will give Miyu a chance to scout her. After the Korakuen additional attack show, Miyu said that she was very unfamiliar. So Miyu will have a little bit of an up close and personal look at J-Rod. It's also nice that they match her up with Kira here, someone who speaks English fairly fluently, or fluently. She's from Australia, and can help kind of show her the ropes and give her a little bit of a tour around TJPW. We have a few tag team matches as well. Hyper Misao and Kaya Toribami will take on Raku and Ren Kanatsu, and then we'll have the team of Mizuki and Suzume taking on the team of Yuki Arai and Mifu Ishida. That's a pairing that's been together quite a bit recently, Araya and Mifu. That's interesting to see. I wonder if they'll enter into the Futariwa tournament together. We'll have to keep our eyes peeled. We also have two 6-woman tag team matches. The first one, Miyu Watanabe, Yuki Aino, and Haru Kazushiro taking on Shoko Nakajima, Miyu Yamashita, and Toga. That'll be a fun one. And then what I imagine will be the main event, we'll have the 6-woman tag Ober Eats teaming with Arisu Endo, the champions team, going up against the challengers, Bumping Gritters. Odd name to say out loud. Bumping Gritters and Uda Takami. So this will be that ultimate preview match that we typically get. It will be the third Princess Tag Title preview match. The Gritters are up 1-0 after their recent victory on the Ryogoku show. This will also be our first International Princess preview match for that upcoming title. So that'll be a fun one. Those Ultimate Champions versus Challengers matches are always pretty good in the lead up. They get you excited for the upcoming matches. No preview for J-Rod and Miyu though. I don't think we'll have any time for that because I believe All Rise will be the following weekend after this. So we might not get a preview match, but maybe we'll get some sort of a face-off or something. We might also get a press conference actually for all of the championships. Typically TJPW will host a press conference. So maybe we'll see that at some point next week or over the weekend. In the graduate side of things, Yuka Sakazaki did wrestle last week, the 23rd of October, on Ring of Honor Honor Club. She had a tag team match where Yuka teamed with Alex Windsor, and they defeated the team of Aaliyah James and Billy Starks. Yuka also did have a face-off with Diana Perrazzo, who wrestled in the match just immediately prior to the tag team match. So Yuka came out. They had a little bit of a face-off as Diana was heading to the back and Yuka was coming out. They did a similar thing a few weeks ago between Yuka and Serena Deeb, who Serena Deeb is her first-round opponent in that who knows when it'll happen pure women's title tournament match. Diana is also in that tournament as well, but she is not facing off against Yuka. They would only face off later on in the tournament, which at this rate, we'll see that take place in 2027. There is still no announcement there. I believe that Yuka has another tag team match on tonight's Ring of Honor, the 30th. I may be wrong. Maybe it'll be the following week. But regardless, it's nice to see Yuka continue to wrestle with frequency on Ring of Honor. You do have to pay for Ring of Honor Honor Club, but it is nice to see Yuka wrestling frequently on TV. I use that term loosely. I don't mean TV, but broadcast or on, I guess, recorded shows. You can easily accessible shows is what I'm trying to say. It is nice to see Yuka get consistent run. I do wish we'd get that tournament match very soon. I'll likely stop mentioning it week to week until we do get some news on it, but it's still nice to see Yuka wrestling week in and week out. And then on the Excursion side of things, there was last week on October 18th the China match at the Fight VGM Fight. It was called FVF Wuxi Volume 2. I'm probably mispronouncing that, but Rika Tatsumi defeated Himawari. I did look into this. I don't believe that it's been released anywhere. I'm not going to hold my breath either. I don't know if this is a show that will be released at all. I don't know if it'll be put up on Wrestle Universe or on YouTube or anything. It's probably just a little bit of a throwaway singles match, but I don't know if that was ultimately the point. I think the point of this was ultimately to get the competitors traveling abroad, getting some exposure in China, and maybe China getting a little bit of a taste of TJPW as a part of this larger show. If it does pop up anywhere, we'll certainly watch it. We'll certainly cover it here on the show, but for now, I don't think this is going to be released anywhere. But a match that was broadcast, or at least accessible over here, on Friday, October 24th, Shoko Nakajima was wrestling in Mexico in the CMLL Women's International Grand Prix. And now this is a match that happens every year with CMLL. They do a men's one, they do a women's one. It's essentially Team Mexico taking on Team World. And so on Team Mexico, I have the competitors here. I'm not too familiar with a handful of them, but India Siu, La Catalina, La Jarochita, Lluvia, Olympia, Persephone, I am familiar with Persephone, Reina Isis, Skadi, and Zeuxius. I probably butchered so many of them, so I apologize to those ladies. I apologize if you speak Spanish and my pronunciation is awful. I did take Spanish for 9 years, and look where that got me. Regardless, on the other side of the ring, Team World, we had Diamante, Hazuki from Stardom, Julia Hart, AEW, Kanji, Koguma, also from Stardom, Mina Shirakawa, formerly of TJPW and Stardom, now in AEW, Shoko Nakajima, who technically was there to represent MLW and not TJPW, Sky Blue, and Tekla, also from AEW. You can tell me that Shoko was there for MLW. Obviously, I'm going to say she was representing TJPW. Really, really interesting team, though, to see a TJPW wrestler, no matter how she was billed, on the same team as AEW talent, as Stardom talent. I think that might be the bigger thing. Seeing Hazuki, Koguma, Mina there with Shoko, they were cheering for each other and supporting each other and tagging each other in and out. Just a surreal sight. I obviously I don't think any of these women have any bad blood. They work in the same industry, they work in the same country, they're representing the same country. I'm sure they are at least familiar with each other, acquaintances. I don't know if they're friends or anything, but it's just surreal to see that because there is such that animosity. I don't even know if animosity is the right word, but those two companies typically don't work together. I'm not really sure why. But I know we did see at Now Kakuta's produce show a year or so back. We did see a little bit of intermingling as well. So who knows? Maybe this will open a door. Maybe it's nothing, but just really surreal to see that. You can watch this match. This is put up on YouTube. The full event is put up on YouTube on the CMLL YouTube channel. It is only for members though, so you do have to become a channel member. I believe channel members are like a monthly thing. So at least for a month if you want to check that out. It is also on Triller TV. I believe it was $10 on Triller TV. So if you do want to see this show, you can get it on Triller TV for $10. If you don't want to pay for it and you do want to just watch some highlights from the match, CMLL did put up a digest video for that show. So you can see some clips and some highlights for the match. This match was almost an hour long, so we won't go into it in extreme detail. But I do want to touch upon Shoko's performance. I want to touch upon some of the other things as well that took place, some of the other interesting bits. Overall, I thought Shoko performed really well in this match. Obviously, she wasn't in it for a very large amount of time. When you have like 9 or 10 competitors on either side, you can imagine that there is quite a frequent turnover of who is in the ring. But Shoko did really well. I saw online a lot of people calling her one of the MVPs of the match or the MVP for Team World. So that was really cool to read and hear that sentiment from a lot of folks. I thought that she fit in really well. This is a very good match if you like lucha libre, obviously. If you like women's wrestling, if you like both, you'll probably love this match. But Shoko fits in very well with that style. She's influenced a lot by, I believe she said Rey Mysterio in the past is a big influence for her. A lot of her maneuvers are more aerial maneuvers, a lot of lucha libre influence. So she really plugged in very seamlessly into this. She lasted about halfway through the match too, which is pretty exciting for a 60-minute match to be a part of this match for halfway, especially when some of the other larger names like the Hazukis and the Kogumas in this match were eliminated fairly early. Shoko actually held her own and she did quite good. She got an elimination as well. Overall, a very good match. I thought it was a lot of fun. Ultimately, Team Mexico won. Persephone got the victory for her team. But a fun match. You see a lot of different styles, a lot of different people come together. There was a little bit of a celebration afterwards. Obviously, for Team Mexico, they were celebrating their victory, but Team World came back out and they all kind of celebrated together. So they really put down any heels and faces and kayfabe and everything. They just kind of had a nice moment where they celebrated the match and all of these cultures coming together. It's just a really nice, wholesome moment. A lot of Mina Shirakawa dancing, as you can imagine. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and check this match out. But good match overall. What I didn't expect, though, was that Shoko Nakajima was actually in Mexico for the remainder of the week. I thought that she was just flying over for this Women's Grand Prix match, but now this explains why she was unable to attend the Ryogoku show as well. So she wrestled actually on October 25th, 26th, 27th, and 28th, she had mostly tag team matches. She had on October 25th, Shoko teamed with Diamante. They took on two wrestlers by the name of Candela and Kira, not Kira Summer, different Kira. On the 26th, Shoko again teamed with Diamante to take on Kira and Scotty. On the 27th, Shoko Nakajima actually has a singles match against Kira. This one is free on the CMLL YouTube page. That whole show actually is free on the YouTube page. So if you do want to see Shoko wrestling in CMLL for free on YouTube and you want to see a full match, the October 27th event, this singles match, Shoko Nakajima and Kira, is a part of that show up on the CMLL page for free. And then on October 28th, Shoko again teamed with Diamante, took on Persephone, who won the the Grand Prix for her team, Team Mexico, and Zexius. I wish I knew how to pronounce that. I'm sorry again. But Persephone is quite a good talent. I'm sure that tag team match is really good. That one's not free, unfortunately. But if you do want to become a channel member, you can watch all of these. You just have to pay to become a channel member. But really interesting to see it. Like I mentioned, I was not expecting Shoko to be in Mexico for the entire week and have so many matches. I was also seeing, as I was reviewing some of the cards for all of these shows, that FWC from Stardom, Kogama, and Hazuki were also on quite a few matches that week. So if you like Japanese wrestling, you're interested in seeing them wrestle some of the luchadors, check out this week of CMLL Wrestling on their YouTube channel. And that will just about do it for this week's show. A little bit of a shorter one, but definitely could still use some cold spray and some ice packs. On next week's show, we'll review the Shinjuku event, we'll preview All Rise 2-5, which is here already, I can't believe it. We'll also talk about Picture Book Reading Pro Wrestling, which will be taking place. I think it's that same weekend. There's a couple of shows upcoming, like that Picture Book Reading show and the Malaysia show. I'm not sure if they will be recorded and broadcast anywhere, but we'll keep our eyes peeled. I hope you enjoyed the show this week. If you did, you can subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss any future episodes. You can follow us at Tokyo Joshi Pod on Instagram, TikTok, and X. Feel free to shoot us an email as well if you like, tokyojoshipod@gmail.com. But above all else, remember to keep your hearts burning, stay magical, my friends, and we'll see you next week on the Tokyo Joshi Pod.